In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Slava se Christus. The issue of authority is something all of us deal with at every stage of life. If you have children, perhaps you will recall moments when they tested your authority as a parent. Or a few weeks ago, I had a memorable encounter with some teenagers skateboarding off the steps of our church, the front steps. "Who says," was their response to my request to go find somewhere else to play. Well, I have no authority here, of course. We wrestle with authority in marriage. A wife heard her husband come back into the house shortly after he had left for the evening and said, "I thought you were going to your lodge meeting tonight." "Oh, it was postponed," he replied. The wife of the grand, exalted, invincible, supreme potentate wouldn't let him come to the lodge meeting. But we face this authority issue when we're pulled over by police officers, when we're speeding. If we're speeding and break the law, then like it or not, there will be consequences. But as we all know in these days, what about officers of the law who abuse their authority? It's clear that we are in the midst of a time when many are rebelling against and distrust authority a lot. In many cases for good reason, and in other cases the motives might be less than pure, just wanting to cause trouble. And of course, many people today are their own authority. Nobody is going to tell me what to do. Like the son who is tired of his parents' authority. "I'm fed up with you telling me what to do all the time. I'm leaving home and joining the armed forces." I wonder how that worked out for him. Like it or not, in these days of pandemic, we are being asked to accept the decisions of our governmental and health authorities. And yet, as we know, in these days of social media, after reading an article or two online, so many people think that they are now an authority on how to treat the coronavirus or that it won't infect them. These are difficult days for everyone, but especially for those who believe that the world revolves around them, or for those who believe that it's their right to do what they want and when they want. In his earthly ministry, Jesus established his authority by his life and his words. His divine authority was established at creation, as all things were made by him and for him. And later in his public ministry, when he calmed the waves and stilled the sea, we hear even the winds and waves obey him. As heir of all things, Jesus had authority over what had been given him. He spoke with such authority as a 12-year-old that the scribes were astounded in the temple. He also said, "I have authority to lay my own life down, and I have authority to take it up again." His resurrection was the fulfillment of these words and proved his rightful claim to authority. So when we talk about the authority of Jesus, we are speaking of him as creator of the universe, possessing all power. Just as an author determines what takes place in his books, so Jesus has, in many ways, full authorship over our lives. He is the potter, and we are the clay. The encounter of Jesus with the centurion, which we hear about in our gospel, is situated in Matthew's gospel purposefully. In chapter 7, the previous chapter, we hear that the people were amazed at Jesus' teaching as one having authority. And in the passage today from Matthew chapter 8, Jesus is amazed at the centurion's response to his authority. As a military man, the centurion knew the value of authority. He had not been promoted to this significant position by doing whatever he wanted. Faithful to do what he was told, he was given greater responsibility in telling others what to do. He recognized that Jesus too was a man who had faithfully executed the authority God had given him, and therefore he was prepared to wait for his word. And because this man submitted to Jesus' authority over him, Jesus was inclined not only to work a miracle, but to commend his faith, which by the way, is directly connected to our understanding of authority. What can we learn from the centurion? Fundamentally, we're reminded that to reject Jesus' authority over you and I, it limits his work in you. To receive Christ's authority over you, it actually liberates his work in you. If Jesus then is authority in your life, what does that look like? How should we respond to his authority? I think one fundamental way we respond is with accountability. This Roman centurion knew what it was to be accountable to others' commands and to expect others to be accountable to his commands. It was his faithfulness in being accountable that Jesus observed with amazement. The moral of the story of the centurion is simple. Jesus will be amazed at us when we are accountable to God's authority over us. That amazement will lead to Jesus being more than willing to do great things for you, as in the life of this centurion. Go your way and let it be done to you as you have believed. The centurion knew what it meant to be accountable to authority. Notice he did not say, I too am a man in authority over others, but he said, I too am a man under authority. How do you perceive yourself? Under authority or in authority over others? Because he responded correctly to those in authority over him, he was given authority of his own. So what, brothers and sisters, is the authority in your life? Your job, wealth, recreation, pleasure, others' expectations. Any and every authority over your life that has a higher status or rank than Jesus will ultimately end in our disappointment. It won't bring us fullness of life. I know living under the authority of Jesus does not come naturally for us. But even Jesus lived under the authority of the Father. And yet his behavior reflected a life of really true freedom. So you know what? Let's today open ourselves to the authority of Christ. He might even be amazed at your faith as well. Slava Sister.